Hello, everyone, and good afternoon, and thank you for joining us this afternoon. We're going to be discussing how to get started at the table with the African American Mayors Association. This is the training, and we have on here Miss Marvetta Bozeman from out of Atlanta and Mr. Keith Willis from out of St. Louis that are joining us. So welcome everybody. Again, thank you for joining us. We're going to go ahead and get started and begin this training to share how to get a seat at the table with the African American Mayors Association. So I'm going to ask questions, not answer. I'm going to ask you guys questions, and I will call on you to answer the questions. And then Mr. Willis, if you want to join in, please do so if you have a different answer, okay? So the first question that we have is, what is the African American Mayors Association? And I can give you a definition, and then I'll let you guys add to it if you want. Okay. So the African American Mayors Association is an organization representing over 500 African American mayors across the United States. Its mission is to address public policy issues impacting African American communities and provide a platform for mayors to collaborate on leadership, community development, and equitable policies. And so, Ms. Marvetta, I'm going to ask you to unmute and add to that if there's anything you would like to.
Wow, that was a mouthful.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. AAMA, what a phenomenal organization. And like you said, that was a great definition of what they do. I like to look at AAMA as your first step into local politics. A lot of people look at the government as far as the governors, our state senators, congressmen, but a lot of the work that we do centers around our Mayors Association. So it's a phenomenal organization.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that input. Keith, would you like to add?
Can't unmute. Oh, there it is. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
All right, good, good. One of the things, I think not only when we think about getting a seat at the table with AMA, but what about in those cities where there may not be, like now in St. Louis, when we started this, we had an African American mayor, right? And she lost. And the new mayor is not of African American descent. So I think in this training, we're going to be talking specifically about the relationship with AMA. But also, I think in looking at the materials, that we're going to be talking about how you get a seat at the table, regardless of who the mayor is, the ethnicity of the mayor. So that's why I think that this is going to be a very, very important training. And so, yeah, we want to talk about AMA specifically because we have an MOU, but we also will be providing information for folks that have mayors that aren't of African descent.
Great. That's very important. And I thank you for bringing that up, Keith, because that is a great point. And so this training is going to be universal for any mayor that you happen to have to work with in your city. So let's move on to question number 2. Why should a person seek to get a seat at the table, specifically a NARAB member?
Well, I think securing a seat at the table with AMA offers an opportunity because we do have a relationship with a NARAB National to influence public policy, right? To advocate for economic development and engage with key leaders to address issues that face African Americans in our communities, because primarily most of us are serving African Americans, people of color. It also allows you to collaborate on major initiatives, gain support for local projects, and create strategic partnerships. And so I think what they're doing over there in Atlanta is a phenomenal job with not only with the mayors, but the way that they're doing things, how they're interacting with people all across at the state level as well. That's a model that we kind of follow when we set up our day here in St. Louis for our Capital Day, right? Because they've been doing it over there and doing it successfully. And so I'm going to toss it over to Miss Marvetta and get her 2 cents on it.
Absolutely. I like to say if we do not have our political figures in place, then we're just talking, because we know how important policy and policymakers are in reference to our mission, which is to advocate for democracy and housing. Keith mentioned that we're doing some great things over here in Atlanta with our mayors in the collaboration piece. For example, we just came off Realtors Week, and it was very important to reach out to those mayors because we're in their cities. And once you realize the importance of that collaborative piece, I mean, it would just take you so much further. The money that you save, we all know that it's the local government that have several of the different buildings. They have police departments, that's your security for the event. They have budgets to help with funding for food and so on and so forth. When you connect with them and you have that seat at the table, then they say, okay, this is our partner. And it makes it a lot easier for you to reach the people. So I think a lot of times we think like, oh, we're realtors, we can get with our partners and our lenders and our pest control people and so on and so forth. But if we engage in with those policymakers, it just takes the message and it intensifies it. Because for one, we are their constituents and we have the knowledge that they need. When it trickles down from the federal government and it goes to local level to the different mayors, they're not as versed as the different numbers and the strategic planning that we put behind advocating for housing. So they need us and we need them. So it's great to sit there to say, listen, we have a MOU, you bring this to the table, we bring that to the table, and then we can let the masses know about our mission.
Great answer. Thank you so much, the both of you guys. That is very important information and pretty much seals why it is important for NAREP to have this seat at the table with our African American Mayors Association. So let's move on to the third question. And Marvette, I would like for you to start off with this. What are the qualifications or criteria to get involved with AAMA as a member of NAREP?
Well, for us here in Atlanta, it has been simple, very, very easy. Just have the passion to want to serve. They have opened up their doors, the mayors that we have worked with, and they're extremely excited. People think that you have to be a licensed real estate professional, that you have to have political aspirations, and you don't. You just have to want to serve. You just need to come in with an open mind, an open heart, and an open spirit to say, you know what, I need you, we need you, how can we work together? And they just really literally, they open the doors so wide open. And here in Atlanta, we have so many different mayors in different municipalities where I'm like, oh my gosh, where do I go to next? Because once they hear in one city that you're there and you're coming, then it's like the buzz is out there and you get the phone calls. And it's just having that willingness to want to serve and be open. That's all the requirements have been, what I see on this end. And they'll come in and just have your questions that you need, have the answers that they're going to ask you. They want to know about the mission. They want to know about the people, the volunteers that you have. And you take that knowledge with them take it with you to your meeting. And they do want to know the why. Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to come to our community? And we get that from NAREP. We have that training in us of what our why is, and you take it. That's all the requirements that you have to have.
Great. Keith, do you have anything to add?
Absolutely not. I told you I learned from the best. I'm looking over there at my sister and she's doing it. So absolutely, I have nothing I can add to that.
Right. And with our national MOU, it really has, the door has already been opened
Mhm.
for this relationship. And so it's just standing on that, owning it, and walking through the door, and really letting them know who we are, who you are, and NARAB, and moving forward with that. So thank you for that question, Marvetta. We'll move on to the fourth question, and that is, how can someone get started in the process of engaging with AAMA? Like, where do they start? Who do they connect with? Who do they reach out to first? And Keith, I'll let you start with this question.
Thanks, Kelly. First of all, you got to begin by understanding the MOU terms, the Memorandum of Understanding, right? MOU with the national NARAB, and that's easy to get. You can also find out who in your chapter may have a relationship with someone in that administration, right? There's someone that may have a welcome, I mean, a warm introduction, I should say. And then even it might have to come down to your local chapter president, sending a letter to, requesting a meeting, a sit down with us, because we all want some of the same things, right? I mean, there's not a mayor in this country that's going to say, no, I don't want first time home buyers and I don't want people buying homes in my city. No, I want them to go and just move as far away from me as you possibly can. That's ludicrous, right? So the reality is that we're going to find that we have so many commonalities and so many things that our leadership that they want. I found that out when we were in our state capitol a couple of weeks ago. How many bills they have around housing and the way that we do what we do, right? I'm saying that understand the MOU and then start reaching out, and then, as Marvetta said, when we do our Realtist Week or our events, invite them to come and say a couple of words, right? So they can see us out here engage during a Realtist Week or during Black Home Ownership Month. So there's a lot of ways to start the process. You might even do something as simple as invite them to come speak to a chapter meeting, right? Okay, that's another way that we can get people involved and start the process of engaging with them. Have them do like you did, Kelly, under the banner of our faith-based pillar, where you had a breakfast and you invited leaders and you invited pastors, and get to see what we do in action, right? Start the relationship, okay? You got to date them before you marry them, okay?
Good. Thank you, Keith. Miss Marvetta, is there anything you would like to add?
Well, the only thing that I would like to add is if you are not already a member of NARAB, that's your first step. Become a member of NARAB and become a member of your local board. We have a lot of people that they've been, coming through, oh, I just want to see what it's about. I want to see, and they may be part of this training. However, they are not members yet. But that's one of the first steps. It is a great time to be a realtist, and membership has its benefits. I don't know too many other organizations that will be training you how to have a seat at the table with your local mayors. So first and foremost, get that membership.
Great, great. Thank you so much, guys. And this next question kind of falls in line and piggybacks off of this one a little bit. And so I think you guys kind of really answered it. The question is, how can you connect with key members? And I think what Keith said about, different functions and meetings and things that you may have going on with your local chapter, sending out that invitation to the mayors and to other community leaders and inviting them to those events so that they can see you in action is a really great way to get started and connect with key members of the African American Association. There also may be some other organizations that are formed, in your city that African American associations participate in. And so I'll let Keith start off by answering that, because I think we have something here like that. And maybe you can give us more insight, Keith, on some other types of organizations that African American mayors or any mayors that may be tied to in the city that someone can connect with.
I think you start with your local president, right? Uh, I think that the way to connect is what we said earlier, by inviting them to your events and or to your monthly meetings, right? Um, Introducing yourself, being able to send a letter talking about what we do as an ARAB, right? I just got on the phone today. I happen to be the chair for our Region 11 RVP committee, and we've got two candidates. And so what I wanted to do is get someone to moderate meet the candidate forum, right? And so what I had to do is I had to tell him. I said, hey, let me send you a link, right? I tried to do the lazy thing, and let me send you a link to who we are, NARAD, right? He says, no, I want you to tell me who you are and what you do, right? Tell me about the five pillars, and one of them being the government relations and advocacy, that pillar right there. So it's in what we do, it's in our DNA that we do these. And so it should be very easy to connect to the members of AAMA and to any mayor's office, right? And again, as I said earlier, I said in the event that you're in a city that does not have an African American mayor, that don't mean we don't want to see. Oh no, you ain't black, get back. No, 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 no. We want to be at the table with any mayor in any leadership, okay? Whoever that mayor is, that mayor pro tem, or if you have a vice mayor, sometimes it starts with those folks, right? Where you work your way up. You might have to have this past mayor. I had an excellent relationship with her chief of staff, right? And so having that excellent relationship, and I mean excellent with his cell, and we're friends, and we've golfed together. Um, you, I had a ticket to the mayor. This current mayor, one of my clients slash little sisters, is working for her and was out campaigning for her. I helped her find her house, right? And so I have a relationship with someone who has the ear of whoever's at their table, because now that we don't have a black mayor, we don't want to say that we don't want to do anything else with this administration. We want to work with whoever's there. And so you use your resources, and those resources sometimes come from people who have connection to them.
That's good. Great. Thank you for that answer. Miss Marvetta, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, make sure, like Keith said, do your homework. Look at the resources. For example, many of our Black mayors, they're affiliate with the Divine Nine, right? They're affiliated with 100 Black men, 100 Black women, and just like many of us are. So we can use that as a connection piece, as a conversation piece. And then they also bring in those other organizations, and it just intensifies the different events and things that you want to have. You find that likeness and that common ground. We all know that this is a relationship built industry. So our relationships matter. So do your homework. See, okay, what is the passion point for this individual mayor that I happen to be wanting to work with? And to Keith's point, they may not be of African American descent. Here in Atlanta, we are fortunate enough to have the majority of them who are in the metro area counties. However, for those states that they don't have that, you'll be surprised how many of them still function within our footprint, and how many of them share some of the same similarities that we do. And it's up to you to figure out, okay, what will be my talking point with them? Can I speak to them about an organization that they hold near and dear to their heart? They may really be into Habitat for Humanity. That may be something that they're interested in, and we can have a conversation about that. Because one thing about NARAB members, we're a part of everything across the board. So we can use those organizations that we have common ground with to open up a pathway to conversation to those mayors. And that brings us in there. Like Keith said, golfing. That may be me one day, but we all know golfing is a great way as an entryway. It's a pastime for a lot of political figures.
Yes, yes, great. Thank you guys. That was really good information. And so we are down to the very last question that I want to ask for this particular training. And Ms. Barbetta, I'll have you start off with this question, answering this question. And the question is, what are the next steps after someone has made an initial contact or attended an event with the mayor?
Follow up, follow up. That's one of the key things that I heard from the mayors that I spoke with. They told me that they were approached a lot, but no one ever reached back out to them. You know, they are busy, they are running cities, right? So just making sure that you're following up, you're sending a thank you out to them, and the invitation. I think Keith mentioned this as well. Inviting them to really see the work that we're doing, that this is just not a one off, that we just don't want the seat at the table, but we want to be an actual partner with them. Make sure that that is expressed in everything that you do. Don't always go with your hand out to get something, go with your hand out to actually give something as well. I think that's really, really key for us to continue on a long-term relationship with them, is to make sure our follow-up game is on point. Make sure that we go and we do know the need in their actual community. What does it look like for their community when we are able to go? I think Keith spoke for this earlier. When we're able to go in there to say, hey, we know that you have this company coming, or that you have this need in your community, or you may have a lack of first time home buyers in your community, but this is something that we want to bring in. Just go knowing, having statistics, having data, just come prepared. That's your next step. Follow up and make sure that you're prepared with everything, because they eat it up. They say, you know what? I didn't look at it that way. When you can go and you can say, we have the Sheba report, right? And that could be drilled all the way down. When you can go in to say, you know, the average home ownership or first time home ownership in the state of Georgia is, you know, 67%. But then in your community, it's showing that it's, you know, 17%. Our organization can actually help turn that around. Go with some numbers and they'll look at you like, whoa, whoa, they came prepared.
Great, thank you. Really, really good information for someone to know about maintaining and growing their relationship with their local mayors. Keith, would you like to add to this?
I certainly would. I think Marvetta hit on there, knowing some of the things that are their pet projects, right? Like, for example, this past mayor, I got a client that we, just got over $500,000 from over the next 3 years to do work in the community. And this past mayor, our past mayor, the last her thing, she's very passionate about golf, right? So she has a big golfing fundraiser every year. And I told my client, you'd be a damn fool if we did not be in that every single year and she see us. And so for the last 4 years, we entered a foursome in her golf tournament. Also, we would go to her Mardi Gras ball. We would go to her mayor's luncheon. We would go to the things and make sure when she had town hall meetings and was going to be there, we made sure we were up in her face. So we never had a problem with getting callbacks. This coming week, I'll be playing in Councilwoman Shalonda Webb's golf tournament. The mayor of Florissant, I'm playing in his golf tournament next month. And so what happens is by being there, I'm in the room, right? So that they take my call, so that they're familiar when I start talking about, NARAB and what we do. They're not like, oh, they see that I'm at their events, right? They see me supporting what they like. So it's an easier call when I say, hey, Mayor Florissant, I played in your golf tournament a couple of weeks ago, and we really would like to have a sit down with you to tell you what NARAB does, right? Because for the most part, most of our members of NARAB live in the county, right? I live in the city. I'm a city boy, but we have most of them live out in the county. So we want to have relationships with those mayors out there who happens to again be non-white, right? But that's going to be a start. That's how we're going to get in that door, you know. So I think everything that Marvetta has said is spot on, and that you can take these things, and no matter who's there. I had a friend that used to always say, Keith, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. Okay. And that's how you got to look at this. We have to be at the table and in the room when decisions are being made, so our voices can be heard and we can continue to be great defenders of democracy and housing for all people of color.
Great. Well,
Absolutely.
thank you. That is really, really good information. And developing and maintaining these relationships by finding points of interest between you and the mayor who you seek to be in a relationship with, finding those points of interest, following back up, participating in their events, going with something to give and not just to take. All of those are great points when it comes to, maintaining that relationship after the initial steps of making contact and gaining a seat at the table. So I just really appreciate you guys for all of this great information, for this training on how to obtain and maintain that relationship with a mayor, not only just an African American mayor, but any mayor of any ethnic group that may be in the city that you are striving to help. So at this time, if no one has anything else to add, we will end this training. And again, thank you for this time. And great job, everyone.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you
Great.
for having us.
No problem. Thank you.